Hey everyone, how's it going? After last night's performance by Kevin Gausman, I just wanted to take a bit of a dive into his numbers and see what he's doing differently this year that's allowing him to be so dominant this spring. We all know that he was injured during spring training last year, and that obviously played a factor into his resurgence this year. But I just wanted to see if there's anything else that supports this newfound success that he's having, and specifically one thing I noticed last night against the Red Sox were all 10 of his strikeouts were on the fastball, which is a little bit abnormal for him. I wanted to dive into his pitching repertoire first, because normally if I'm ever curious about a pitcher, the first thing I look at, it's not random when a guy is not great one year and then looks really good the next. It's typically not because they're throwing the exact same pitches the exact same way and all of a sudden hitters just can't figure it out. So normally there is an underlying reason, kind of how we saw with Easton Lucas adding the sweeper and getting a little bit more differentiation on his pitches. So the first place I look is his pitch usage. And I compare 2024 to 2025, and it's more or less the same. He's using the four-seamer a little bit more often. He's mixing the slider in a little bit more, and he's cut the sinker out, which is fair. We expected the slider to get used more often this year. He had mentioned he wanted to start doing that just as more of a show-me pitch than anything, just to get them off the two-pitch mix. And then the next thing I looked at was the velocities. Is there any big change there that would be cause for this sudden uptick in this game specifically in strikeouts, but just in general, how effective he's been this year? And there's nothing noticeable there. Everything pretty much looks straight across the board from last year. So once I'm done there, I then flip over to some more advanced numbers. Again, we're super small sample sizes here. Obviously, we're very early on in the year. But given the pitch mix is around the same, the velocity's been the same, all of a sudden he's getting significantly more success basically with his fastball. You can see the batting average, the slug, the weighted on base average. Obviously everything's phenomenal this year for him because he's been very effective. But he's getting 10% more whiff, which is swing and miss on his fastball. And I was kind of curious why that was, because as I said before, typically that doesn't just happen, especially, he's pitching against a team like the Red Sox that have seen him a lot. The book is out on him. And small sample sizes would account for some of it. It's really easy to just be on a day and then inflate your numbers or deflate your numbers. But 10% is a fairly noticeable gap in his whiff rate. And I was just curious what changed about his fastball. So what I did was I'll pull up his Savant page here now of 2024 versus 2025, just to kind of have a look at the pitch shapes and things like that. And the first thing I noticed was his arm angle has come up 2 degrees this year, which is basically 2 degrees more over the top, for those of you that aren't familiar with that. Doesn't sound like a lot, but what it seems to be doing, as you can tell by the bubbles, the higher the bubble moves up is IVB. That's basically, it doesn't mean the ball actually raises. It's more of its resistance to drop, its resistance to gravity. So basically picture it as a higher IVB just means it has more ride on the fastball. It wants to stay higher longer, and it can be a little bit deceiving to the batter. It'll almost it plays up better when it's rising more efficiently than the league average fastball would. And in Gausman's case, a good fastball is considered around that 18-inch mark, and he's getting up into the 21 range with a lot of his pitches. So right there is one change. He's just getting that little bit more vertical, we'll call it vertical rise, even though, again, it isn't literal rise. It is still dropping with gravity, but it's its resistance to how much it's dropping. And then his splitter is getting kind of the same thing. A little bit more rise to it, but a little bit more horizontal movement on both the fastball and the splitter. So we're seeing less drop and more horizontal run on them, just as an observation here. And obviously you can see as well his slider is a little bit different, but his slider, it's probably at best a league average pitch. And like I say, it's more of a show-me pitch than anything. It's just to get the guys off of that 2-pitch mix. That was kind of curious to me that his IVB increased on both pitches, and he's getting more horizontal run this year while coming over the top just slightly more this season. And then next I'll bring up again, just to put it into numbers to make it a little bit easier to read, the vertical drop and horizontal break, and you'll see it versus comparable pitches, where if you go back to 2024, his four-seam fastball, vertical drop of 14.2, now it's only getting 12.8. So again, it's still dropping, but it's got that more resistance to drop that I mentioned in the IVB. So it's actually giving the illusion that it's rising. And then you go look at the horizontal break. He was able to add an additional inch of horizontal or arm side run on the fastball. And then with his split finger, he's noticed actually quite a substantial change there, as he's gone from 15.9 arm to 18 inches of horizontal arm side run on that. So, you'll notice versus comparable, his vertical drop on the split is a 31.6, which is actually worse than comparable. And then the horizontal run is actually almost 6 inches more horizontal run on a split finger versus other comparable split fingers. So really impressive stuff from him there. And these are the changes that I've noticed that are probably leading to this, incredible whiff rate that he's getting on the fastball, as well as just the overall success that he's had year over year. He's cut the sinker out. He's added in a little bit more horizontal run to the split finger, to the fastball, and he's just mixed up his repertoire, even though it is the same pitch, essentially, mix that he's using. And then just to put it into simple words, the four-seam fastball, which is what I'm kind of pinpointing as the most influential pitch that he's throwing right now, it says, this is the movement of his four-seam fastball. On average, the ball moves 12 inches towards a right-handed batter, so that helps give you a visual there, and it drops 13 inches. League average horizontal movement on a four-seam fastball is 8 inches and 15 inches of drop. So again, just to put it into simple words, he's getting 4 more inches of horizontal break towards a right-handed batter or arm side run, and then he's getting 2 inches less drop on his ball. So that's my take on it. I think it's the four-seam fastball, obviously. You see a 10 strikeout performance that's leading to a lot of this success. And anyways, that's just my take on this. Kevin Gausman's looked great so far. I was curious why, so I decided to look into some numbers. By all means, leave your comments below. Leave anything. If you have any additional information, I'm by no means, a major league pitching coach or anything like that. I just like looking at this sort of stuff, and I figured I'd share it with you guys because the Easton Lucas video seemed to get some good feedback. So, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. We'll talk to you later.